Hey, what's up, it's Hyphen. With Insomniac's Spider-Man 2 gameplay releasing, along with all of the hype around Across the Spider-Verse, I've been thinking about Spider-Man a lot. And for the majority of people that don't know, I have a series on my channel called Rating Batman Villains on whether or not they would be scary in real life. And a lot of people seem to enjoy those, so I figured why not give Spider-Man the same treatment that I've been giving Batman. And before I get into it, I just wanted to really quickly say, for those of you that don't know, for every single person that subscribes, I actually gain a subscriber, so make sure to do that, because you don't want to miss out on that opportunity. Alright, so obviously I can't get every single Spider-Man villain in this one video, so I'm open to do a part 2, but I figured why not just do the most popular ones in the first video. Welcome to rating Spider-Man villains on whether or not they would be scary in real life. When you think of popular Spider-Man villains, there's one that comes to mind immediately. The most popular Spider-Man villain. So let's do him first. That's right, you guessed it. Big Wheel. He's 5'5", 140 pounds, and trapped inside of a big wheel. His main powers consist of being in a big wheel. I think it goes without saying that Big Wheel would be horrifying in real life. Can you look me in the eyes and tell me that you would be able to sleep at night knowing that there's somebody out there in a big wheel? Exactly. Now that we've gotten the biggest one out of the way, we can move on to the lesser known villains. Next, let's do the one and only Green Goblin. Listen, I know this guy's a menace, but the double alliteration on a name that has Goblin in it, it doesn't really scream horrifying. Like, for some reason I imagine it's setting up a joke like Green Goblin D's. No, but he is horrifying though. Norman Osborn has a list of mental illnesses that is so long that I could make an entire video just naming them. And let's be honest, someone most definitely has. Something that he's known for is going out of his way to try to kill people that Spider-Man cares about. One of his most iconic moments being killing Gwen Stacy. And before someone comments, "No, that's Harry Osborn." Yes, I know. That's the Amazing Spider-Man 2. But I'm talking about the original version in the comics. Do you want to be friends? Because I also like that movie. And as scary as Norman would be for Spider-Man and anybody related to or close to Spider-Man, I feel like from an outside perspective, from a distance, it's like, aw, dang, that's really messed up. Anyway, I got work tomorrow. So if he specifically had a grudge against you, horrifying. But if you had nothing to do with him, meh. Alright, next up, let's do Venom. Venom is an alien symbiote that gives enhanced abilities to the person that it's attached to. It also makes the wearer more aggressive, and most of the time it ends up making them become either borderline evil or just like straight up evil. Just that on its own is already horrifying. Like, the idea of somebody who's crazy getting like enhanced abilities and being able to do stuff that people shouldn't be able to do, that alone is horrifying. Plus, not to mention, they might look like this. It looks like it's gonna eat my dog. So that alone is horrifying. But then on top of all that, it also in some iterations can just like form its own body without being attached to somebody. So like this super powerful, super durable entity that has no connection to humanity and wants to hurt people is just on the loose. Venom would be horrifying in real life. Next up, I'm gonna do Curtis Connors, aka the Lizard. He's a super intelligent scientist that ended up turning himself into a lizard. A giant humanoid lizard. A giant humanoid lizard that doesn't like humans. I want to say that this on its own is already horrifying, but I know that people will say, actually that's not fair because you said Killer Croc wouldn't be that scary in your rating Batman villains video, and Killer Croc and the Lizard are more or less the same thing. Okay, fine, I was wrong about Killer Croc. But in my defense, the two characters that I rated right before Killer Croc were so scary that I think it actually kind of desensitized me to him a little bit. So yes, I will now say I've changed my mind. Killer Croc would be scary in real life. Anyway, now back to the point of the video. Lizard is still extremely smart, and in some iterations he looks like this. Not to mention, he wants to make more versions of this. So even if you are far away from him, knowing that he's out there and trying to create more versions of himself, and you might not be safe tomorrow, is pretty scary. The Lizard would most definitely be scary in real life. Next, I'm doing Vulture, and you can't do anything to stop me. Okay, so I know that he has a sad backstory, right? And I know that he's a fan favorite, but I'm sorry, Vulture would not be scary in real life. He's just a criminal with a wingsuit. And he's kind of like old. He would be super interesting and intriguing to learn about, but I can't imagine anybody watching the news and seeing somebody fly around with a bag of money and being like, "Oh, no, somebody stop him. No, he's gonna take more money." I feel like more realistically, you'd see him on the news and then you'd be like, "What? He can fly? That's sick. What's that, he's stealing money? Yo, he just did a flip, what?" And I know that somebody's going to go down to the comments and say a very specific issue where Vulture did something absolutely deplorable. And before you do that, let me just say, for any character that's been around for a long time, you can find a specific issue where they're being a terrible person, and then you can base their entire existence off of that. For example, if somebody's talking about how cool, wholesome, and nice they think Superman is, and I say, nah, remember that time he killed the Joker and enslaved the entire planet and became a terrible fascist? Your take that he's a good person is wrong. You would probably not know how to respond to that because you'd say, that's not the version of Superman I'm talking about. It's cool that you like that version, but that's not the one I'm talking about. If somebody's talking about a specific version of a character, bringing up a version of the character that they're not talking about as a rebuttal to why the character isn't cool is really annoying, and it happens a lot. Anyway, Vulture wouldn't be scary in real life. Yay, we're doing Rhino next! Sometimes Rhino is just wearing a big suit, and sometimes he looks like that. Regardless, this is scary. A lot of people like to act like the version of Rhino where he's just wearing a suit wouldn't be as intimidating, but to those people I'd like to propose a thought experiment. Imagine you're on an empty street and 200 feet away from you is the mechanical Rhino. He decides he's gonna trample you, so he starts running at you at 90 miles per hour. Luckily for you though, you're not intimidated by him because he's just a guy in a suit. Since you're not intimidated by him, which do you think is more likely to happen when he hits you? A, he immediately bounces off like a helium balloon being punched by a small child, or B, it doesn't actually matter if you're intimidated or not, and when he hits you, you're immediately turned into a bowl of chili. Rhino would most definitely be scary if he became real. Next, I'm gonna do Sandman because I actually have a personal fear against Sandman. I know that sometimes Flint can be reasoned with, but for some reason, whenever I think about Sandman, my brain automatically goes to the idea of him just like filling my mouth with sand and then expanding and my head explodes. So just the fear of knowing that somebody could do that to me would be absolutely horrifying. Sandman would be scary in real life. Alright, listen, so for fear of this video getting too long and people getting too bored watching it, I'm just gonna do one more. If you don't mind the videos being longer and you want them to be longer going forward, make sure to let me know in the comments. But regardless of your opinions on that, rest easy knowing that the last villain is going to be by far the best. The one and only Walrus. If you somehow don't know, Walrus has the strength and powers of a walrus. He also has a large hammer. Now that's already horrifying on its own, but then you learn that he's not concerned with money or power. All he wants is to cause mild property damage. I'm sorry for putting you through having to hear that, but I think it had to be said to understand the magnitude of how scary Walrus would be in real life. Imagine you're out for a walk at your local park and the slide is damaged. Yeah, Walrus would be absolutely horrifying in real life. Anyway, that's all for this video. I appreciate you all for sticking around for this long. If you did, you know all the things that YouTubers tell you to do at the end of videos, so do that if you want. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.